Hi campus, hope you are doing well. Today we are going to have an introduction to the supply chain management, which will include activities of supply chain management, ways of selecting a supplier, supplier sourcing strategies, ways that supply networks differ, and bullwhip effect. If you're thinking about opening your business or making your business operations efficient, you should be able to answer the question from your current or potential customers, such as why we as consumers should choose you. And your ideal answer should be, you should choose us because we promise that you will find our product on the right shelf at the right time and at the right costs. Have you ever wondered how businesses such as Apple, Toyota, and Zara achieve notable results in highly competitive markets? Partly, it is because of their products and services, but partly, it is a matter of how they manage their supply chains. When you're in a supermarket, have you ever thought about how your favorite drink, let's say Coca-Cola, got there right onto the shelf? Behind the accomplishment of placing that Coca-Cola in the right shelf, at the right time, and at the right cost, lies the story of orchestrating purchasing, supply, production, storage, and logistics effort. In other words, supply chain management. So supply chain management is managing the supply network, assembly network, distribution network, and the human network. Supply chain management is the management of the relationships and flow of material and information between the chain of operations and processes that produce value in the form of products and services to the ultimate consumer. Another definition reads that supply chain management manages the activities that procure materials and services, transform them into intermediate goods and final goods, and deliver them through a distribution system. These activities include purchasing and outsourcing activities, plus many other functions that are important to the relationship with suppliers and distributors, such as the ones you see on the screen. If you're wondering what is the difference between logistics and materials management, let's just assume that logistics helps you to get a good from point A to point B, while material management is concerned with inventory levels, just for your information. Supply chain management is all about making your customer happy. In your business, to meet the requirements of end customers, your supply chain needs to achieve appropriate levels of 5 operations performance objectives, such as quality, speed, dependability, flexibility, and cost. Quality of a product or service when it reaches the customer is a function of the quality performance of every operation in the chain that supplied it. Errors in each stage of the chain can multiply in their effect on end customer service. For example, if you deliver ice cream and freezer broke down the road, driver didn't notice that and deliver it half melted to a retailer. Retailer can return it or accept it, and if accepted, would put ice cream back to the freezer, but the ice cream would be of poor quality. The melted ice cream would never gain its shape back again, even when put in the freezer. This was an example of error in one stage of supply chain. So if each of 7 stages in supply chain has a 1% error rate, only 93% of products or services will be of good quality on reaching the end consumer. Speed is about how fast customers can be served, an important element in any business ability to compete. The faster your product reaches your customer, the better it is. Fast throughput time also reduces inventory-related costs in the supply chain. The faster you deliver your ice cream to a retailer, for example, the better it is. Dependability. Like speed, on-time delivery without delays is another important element for your business. Domino's Pizza's critical to quality characteristic is delivery of pizza within 30 minutes from the order. Clearly, for them, on-time delivery of pizza to customers is a crucial factor. That is how they have built their reputation throughout the world and customers trust them. They deliver pizza on time. Flexibility. In a supply chain context, is usually taken to mean the chain's ability to cope with changes and disturbances. If anything unexpected happens within your supply chain of ice cream, such as border closure due to political conditions, for example, how quickly you would be able to adjust your supply chain to ensure your end customer is happy and receives the product. And the last objective is cost. In addition to the costs incurred within each operation, the supply chain as a whole incurs additional costs that derive from each operation in a chain doing business with each other. Things such as the costs of finding appropriate suppliers, setting up contractual agreements, monitoring supply performance, transporting products between operations, holding inventories, and so on. To repeat and conclude, supply chains, when managed well, can deliver decisive competitive advantage by meeting the needs of customers through achieving these 5 objectives, such as cost, quality, speed, dependability, and flexibility. How to select a supplier. Choosing appropriate suppliers should involve trading off alternative factors. Most businesses find it best to adopt some kind of supplier scoring or assessment procedure. In the table that you see now, there are some factors for rating alternative suppliers. You can come up with your own factors specific to your operation and activities. For example, you can include years the supplier has been operating in business, costs, delivery dates, some benefits like training or warranties, and so on. We will look into the weighted supplier selection criteria through the example. Suppose a hotel chain has decided to change its supplier of cleaning supplies because its current supplier has become unreliable in its delivery performance. The hotel is evaluating the 2 alternative suppliers on a scale of 1 to 10 against the criteria shown in the table. Table also shows the relative importance of each criterion, which has a column titled Weight, also provided on a scale of 1 to 10. We use simple math to calculate weight by score for a supplier A. For example, cost weight is 10 multiplied by supplier A score, which is 8. So 8 times 10 is equal to 80. And you continue and multiply each factor weight by supplier score and then sum up the results for supplier A and supplier B, where you get the total of 325 points for supplier A and 356 points for supplier B. Based on this evaluation, supplier B has the superior overall score. So the conclusion is you should choose to buy cleaning supplies from supplier B. Again, the more concrete and adapted to your product or services your supplier evaluation form will be, the better it is for your business. You can trust your procurement managers because they choose suppliers against the concrete criteria, which minimizes the risk of buying from your friends and relatives just because they have asked you to buy from them. You do get the point, I'm sure. Supplier sourcing strategy. An important decision facing most businesses is whether to source or purchase products or services from one or more than one supplier. Single sourcing is when you obtain product, component, or service from a single or one supplier. Multi-sourcing is when you obtain product, component, or service from more than one supplier in order to maintain market bargaining power or continuity of supply. Think of suppliers of milk products in our country, and if you're working with big volumes of milk, you'd realize that you're left with only 2 suppliers of milk, such as Nestlé and Musafo, because they're able to supply big quantities. So you have to maintain contracts with both. in case of some inadvertent problems that may occur with one of the suppliers, which indeed can happen. They can run out of packaging materials, or they're going through reorganization, which will result in delays of dispatching and delivery, which will affect your business in case you work only with one supplier. Let's sum up some advantages and disadvantages of working with one supplier against advantages and disadvantages of working with multiple suppliers. Advantages of working with single supplier include strong relationship, more commitment, improved communication, research and development cooperation, economies of scale, and better confidentiality. Disadvantages of working with single supplier is that the supplier can skyrocket the prices if there is no alternative supplier, and individual supplier is affected more by volume fluctuations. Advantages of having several suppliers include competitive tendering to drive down the price, you can switch supplier in case of failures, and you can tap into wide sources of knowledge and expertise. Disadvantages of working with several suppliers include lack of commitment, communication effort, more difficult to obtain economies of scale, and you don't have to count on suppliers to invest in your new processes, simply because you're working with few suppliers. So again, decision is yours, whether to work with one or with more suppliers. Single sourcing or multi-sourcing, you choose. Types of supplier relationship. When categorizing the types of supplier relationship, it is important to think about the degree of outsourcing in your supply chain. You have to ask yourself two questions. One question is who you choose to supply products and services from, and how many suppliers will be involved in the chain. Another important question would be what you choose to outsource. You can do everything within your business yourself at one extreme, or outsource everything at the other extreme. You can design, manufacture, distribute, and even retail your products yourself directly to customer. Companies like Nike and Apple outsource practically all manufacturing processes and focus on their core competence, which is product design. At the other extreme, companies like ArcelorMittal, the global steelmaker, do everything themselves. They are vertically integrating into iron ore mines, infrastructure development, and distribution. They're even their own suppliers. In between are the companies that do some manufacturing or assembly work in-house based on a variety of reasons and outsource the rest, marketing for example. So on one hand, you can outsource part of your operation, or you can outsource most of your operations, or do not outsource any of your operations at all and do it yourself. Be your own supplier, manufacturer, distributor, and so on. You all know that it has been very popular to outsource production to China for years, which in turn is now offshoring production to places like Africa, where an average worker's wage can be just 25% of Chinese worker rates, which is attractive enough to consider moving production. Telstra, an Australian telecom company, moved IT jobs to India, for example. Businesses are offshoring services primarily for cost reasons. However, the risks of offshoring need careful evaluation and attention because there are plenty of risks associated with it, such as loss of in-house technological and managerial expertise and competence in important technologies and performance, for example. But this is subject for another topic discussion. Also, a popular term is inshoring nowadays, when work is outsourced to other lower-cost but domestic locations. U.S. companies such as Caterpillar and Ford have all announced plans to bring back some overseas manufacturing home, but most likely would open facilities in low-cost United States locations. There are two ways in which supply networks differ. They can be lean or agile. Lean supply network that focuses on efficiency while Agile Supply Network focuses on responsiveness and flexibility. These two ways or modes of managing supply chains are reflected in an idea proposed by Professor Marshall Fisher that supply chains serving different markets should be managed in different ways. Efficient or lean supply chain networks are suitable for functional products such as Raffaello, for example, a spherical coconut almond confection by Italian manufacturer Ferrero that has been in the market since 1990. Raffaello has been in the market since 1990. Demand is predictable with few changes, with low variety in product range. By contrast, responsive or agile supply network are suitable for innovative products such as Louis Vuitton handbags, with new designer bag being released every 3 to 6 months. Demand is mostly unpredictable with rapid changes. There is a high variety in product offerings, short lead time, and high margins. Now you know that there are two modes or ways that supply networks differ. They can be either lean or agile. What is bullwhip effect? Have you heard of the term before? The bullwhip effect is used to describe how a small disturbance at the downstream end of supply chain causes increasingly large disturbances, errors, inaccuracies, and volatility as it works its way upstream. It probably didn't give you any information about what the bullwhip effect is. Let's try to understand it with example. Let's leave ice cream example to the side for a moment and take a toilet paper for the sake of argument. Everyone can relate now. Suppose there is some food poisoning infection spread across the country, so people started to buy extra toilet paper all of a sudden. Shelves are left empty at the end of the month at the retail store, such as Korzinka and Makro. So in our supply chain, we have retailer, wholesaler, distributor, manufacturer, and supplier. At the beginning of the month, inventory levels at the retail store were equal to 1,000 packs of toilet paper, and at the end of month, it is 0. Normally, retailers such as Korzinka and Makro know their sales volumes, where they sell 1,000 packs of toilet paper in 2 months. But now they sold their 2 months volume in 1 month. So their anticipation is that in future they would need to have 1,000 packs of toilet paper every month instead of every 2 months based on a recent spike in demand. Thus, retailer places an order to a wholesaler for 2,000 packs of toilet paper because they need to fill in their inventory levels. Wholesaler is happy and in turn is going to place a larger order to the distributor of 3,000 packs of toilet paper, while distributor in its turn is going to place a larger order to manufacturer, 4,000 packs of toilet paper, while excited manufacturer is going to order extra supplies from suppliers to match the increased demand so that the suppliers are excited as well. Everyone is happy and excited because of the increased demand. However, next month, the food poisoning infection is over, customers are happy and healthy now, and they do not need to buy extra toilet paper because they have extras at home. So retailer sees the drop in sales from 1,000 packs of toilet paper to 250 or 500 packs. And now the inventory levels of wholesaler, distributor, and manufacturer are high. Wholesaler has high inventory stored in the warehouse, distributor as well, and so is manufacturer, who has too many supplies ordered before that, so no one expected the demand to drop dramatically. That is why it is called bullwhip effect, as you see in the picture now, which is used to describe how a small disturbance or change at the downstream end of supply chain causes increasingly large disturbances, errors, inaccuracies, and volatility as it works its way upstream. To put in simple words, a small change in demand from customers causes big volatility and disturbances to the manufacturer and suppliers. How to reduce the bullwhip effect? To improve the supply chain management. First is information sharing. Efficient distribution of information throughout the chain reduces demand fluctuations along the chain by linking all operations to the source of demand. Second is channel alignment. Adopting the same or similar decision-making processes throughout the chain to coordinate how and when decisions are made. Third is operational efficiency. Eliminating sources of inefficiency or ineffectiveness in the chain. Of particular importance is time compression, which attempts to increase the throughput time of the operations in the chain. In this session, we did an introduction to the supply chain management. Now you know about the activities of supply chain management, ways of selecting a supplier, supplier sourcing strategies, ways that supply networks differ, and bullwhip effect. Thank you for listening. Please give this video a thumbs up and do take care of yourself and your loved ones. Stay healthy, safe, and positive. This was Sitora Inoyatova, module leader for the Operations Management module at Westminster International University in Tashkent. Thank you.